resources that are stationed in the eastern portion of North Carolina right where they are so they can respond locally to missions as they arise. What we'll also do then is the search and rescue resources in western North Carolina will be surged into the area of operations that are impacted by Hurricane Dorian. Utilities are also well positioned to work on power restoration once the storm passes, since most of them have not gone to Florida as originally planned. And North Carolina DOT has suspended construction projects on major evacuation routes. The State Highway Patrol is also poised to provide support to local jurisdictions for any evacuation operations. Our National Guard are prepared to deploy decisively with soldiers and high water vehicles to impacted counties as well. Everyone is urged to listen to their local officials and media stations so they can maintain situational awareness. Again, Dorian's proven very difficult to forecast, and its characteristics have changed many times. Please take the time, as the governor has said, to prepare yourselves now. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor.
If anyone has any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. Yes, sir.
During Florence, I think Director Sprayberry said that that you were working through some of the lists you had for recovery during Matthew and trying to contact people that you know are probably in some damaged homes or something like that. Is there I'm sure there's a big database of folks in need in eastern North Carolina. Are you working through that, doing the same procedure, working through some of that?
Director Sprayberry, I'll let you take that question.
Yes, sir. So we've been coordinating with our counties to make sure that, and with FEMA, to make sure that folks that are currently in travel trailers and mobile home units are being looked out for. We want to make sure that everybody is aware of what's coming. We expect to possibly feel impacts here as early as Wednesday night, so we want to make sure that they're well aware of that possibility and are prepared to evacuate as needed.
Hello, have you all done anything to help prepare based on what you learned from Florence?
Absolutely. I think with each storm that hits North Carolina, we have become more well-versed about how to respond to these storms and how to coordinate with our local and federal partners. One of the things that I think we did well in Florence, better than Matthew, is to get temporary assistance to people more quickly and to provide temporary sheltering and housing for people. And our STEP program that helped to provide initial repairs to a lot of homes, I think has been an excellent success. And even though the federal government has stopped the funding for that, we have continued to work with our local volunteer groups to continue helping people with those kinds of preparations. So I think communication, coordination is the key. We rely heavily on our local resources, our county emergency management. We're talking with them right now because they are preparing for potential evacuation. And even if the storm doesn't necessarily get here or hit hard, if they do provide for that local evacuation, we have to be ready for people in going different places and be ready with sheltering, because people may be leaving their homes and have nowhere else to go. So we have to be ready even before the storm gets here. And I think that we are on ready, and our first responders will be ready to go as always.
Do you think the holiday weekend is a help or hindrance with what needs to be done?
Well, our emergency responders, our highway patrol, our National Guard, they're always ready, regardless of what time it is. I'm glad that we're through this weekend, so that didn't really affect the tourism season at our coast. And we've tried to make sure in our messaging to people that there is nothing imminent, but in the next few days we may see a very serious storm. So what we have to do is just to make sure people are making preparations and that we're all ready to go, because this thing could plow right through North Carolina. It could be a very dangerous storm. We hope and pray that it heads to the west and doesn't hit us at all. That would be fantastic. But right now we are in that cone of, it looks like we're going to get something. The severity of it we don't know, but we have to be ready for it.
Governor, how important is it for people to maybe over-prepare and to really take this seriously because of the unpredictability of the storms?
You know, you always have to consider the cost of preparation, which is, we do have to be very careful with taxpayer dollars. You have to do it incrementally and make sure that you are prepared so that you don't get caught flat-footed. And I think that's what we're doing, is we're being very responsible about how we respond to this. It's pretty easy for people to go ahead and plan your evacuation route. Go ahead and make sure you have your emergency kit and the medicines and all of that. These are things that you should do anyway to make sure that you're ready, and that's good. But, you know, if we don't have our emergency response vehicles and our supplies and all of that positioned and ready to go, then we won't have enough time when the storm gets here. And it's the potential that this storm can speed up, moving very slowly at the time, and it may get a lot slower. We know how horrible that can be, but it looks like it might speed up as it moves toward our state and hopefully by our state. So we know that this week, as we come into this, that we're going to have to get ready, and we're ratcheting that up depending on the forecast. We're in close contact with the Hurricane Center and keeping a good eye on this, as all North Carolinians should do as well.
Governor, looking at last year with Hurricane Florence, a lot of farmers' crops were wiped out. Is there anything you could do proactively to help with federal aid, looking at what happened with that and seeing what might happen with this storm?
You know, agriculture is one of our most important economic drivers in North Carolina. And not only did the farmers get hit with Hurricane Matthew in 2016 and Hurricane Florence last year, but they have had some pretty bad years in between with fierce weather and rain. A lot of our farmers are right on the edge right now. We stepped up together in a bipartisan way to get direct help to our farmers who got hit so hard, and I'm glad we were able to provide that financial assistance to them. But one of the reasons why I issued the emergency declaration so early was because already farmers were telling us they were rushing to get crops out of the field and moving livestock. And in order to do that, they have to have heavier trucks than are allowed by law right now. So I got that input from them and talked to the Commissioner of Agriculture, and we went ahead and issued that order so that they could go ahead and begin that process. And we know that farmers are working through this weekend to try and get what they can out of the field, because they know how devastating these storms can be to their bottom lines. So we're hoping that we have given them some time with this emergency order and the declaration, the waivers that I've issued.
Governor, what do you say to the people who are still battered and recovering from Hurricane Florence that happened not even a year ago?
It's really unimaginable if you're living in southeastern North Carolina and you've been hit hard with two severe hurricanes in less than 3 years. It's devastating to think about another hurricane coming on top of that. A number of people got their homes repaired in Matthew, got hit again by Florence. Some of them have just finished those repairs from Florence, and here another storm is coming. There are other people who are still in the process of recovery from these storms. So what we need to tell them is this: your safety matters, number one, and we're going to have our emergency responders, and we know the locals will be ready to keep them safe. And it's unfortunate that they already know things that they need to do to make sure that they're kept safe. We're all going to hope and pray that this storm turns out to the west and doesn't hit us this time. But whatever comes, I know North Carolinians are resilient. We will be ready to move in and help them quickly. And we're going to continue as a state to recover not only stronger but smarter. Already we've been working on resiliency plans for North Carolina and making sure that we understand that this is a new normal in that storms are stronger and more fierce than they have ever been, that we need to be ready for these kinds of storms in the future. Both Hurricane Matthew and Florence caused so-called 500-year floods. Well, we know that these aren't 500-year floods anymore. And so we have to be ready for that. And already our new North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency is working on all of these issues now comprehensively, and we'll be ready for this storm if in fact it does come. All right. Yep. Sure.
Are you going to open up or potentially open up, if necessary, use the same strategy of having some big mega shelters, maybe up here in the Triangle or just out of the action somewhere?
Yes, that's one of the experiences that we had with Florence, that we had so many evacuations on the on the coast, and some inland. Millions of people actually were evacuating. I'm sure over not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people certainly moved. So we needed bigger, more comprehensive shelters, and already discussions are going on right now in the event that we have to do that. We hope we don't, but we want to be ready in the event that we do. Mike, I don't know, you might have an update on that. You and I talked about that this morning. Okay.
Governor, is it possible to get any names of farmers who may be bringing in crops?
You know, we can ask. We can certainly, probably Commission of Agriculture might be the best person to do that, because I taught, we messaged back and forth yesterday or day before